Welcome ladies and gentlemen back to another Hunter Call of the Wild video, and today we're going to be going over the top 5 beginner tips that I have for all beginners starting Call of the Wild in 2025. So this is going to range from stuff that you should do as soon as you load into the game, and then more things that you shouldn't do while you are out on your hunt and hunting for trophies and animals. But I do hope you find this video helpful, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. So starting off with probably the biggest tip on this list would be, no matter what map you are loading into, if you don't have all the outposts unlocked, I would highly suggest spending the hour or two going around and unlocking every single outpost. By unlocking every single outpost, it gives you the whole map to go out and hunt without having to drive all the way across the map. So I do highly recommend getting a quad bike, and this is probably the only time where I'd actually recommend a quad bike for hunting, or not really hunting, but gathering outposts. It makes it a lot quicker, and you're not spending a lot of time going and getting outposts. But yeah, to any beginner, I would highly recommend going and getting every single outpost. Trust me, it'll make your life a lot easier in the long run. It might take about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get them all unlocked, unless you have a friend on multiplayer that can actually place tents at all the outposts. If not, you'll have to drive to them, and it can take around 2 hours, but it is definitely worth it in the long run. Now, for the second tip, I see a lot of people wondering why they're spooking their animals off from a lot further than about 150 or so meters away when they're running up to a lake, and most of the time it's because they are running a great big backpack. You do not want to be running a backpack in the Hunter Call of the Wild if you are trying to hunt. It will just in turn make it a lot harder to actually go and hunt what you're hunting, because half the time you'll be spooking it off. Now, there is a skill in this game called Pack Mule, which increases the base carry capacity by 15%, giving you an extra few kgs of being able to carry another weapon around. I don't have it on my main account, and I can carry about 3 weapons just fine, and sometimes even a tent. But if you do need the extra space, Pack Mule is there, and it doesn't increase your visibility at all. Now, talking about skills and perk points, my next tip is to make sure you are actually using your skill points and your perk points. As you can see at the top of the screen, we have a number 1 next to the skill points, which means we have 1 skill point. Now, you can get these through leveling up, and eventually when you get up higher in the levels, you'll start to get less and less of these skills and perk points. So choose what you want carefully. I'm going to chuck mine into that like there. And yeah, make sure you are using these. They come in really handy. You can get quite a few cool things, as you can see. There's track knowledge and all of that. So you can see the weights of animals and their health bars and everything like that. These do come in really handy, so make sure you are using these every time that you level up. If you need help leveling up, or you need a faster way to level up than just shooting animals, the missions are a really good way. I went through all of the Medved missions and I got to level 12, which is pretty insane. So if you do need to level up faster, the missions are always there and they are pretty good for XP. Now, for my next tip is to always use your binoculars or glass the terrain, as a few people do say. What I mean by that is you should always be looking down your binoculars. You never know what you might find. As you can see, there is some elk in the reeds there. There's a whole bunch of animals that you can see while using your binoculars, and you can use them while you're walking around and everything, so you don't even need to stop. As you can see there, we've got more elk over there, which is pretty insane. And this is how I spot most of my trophies. You've got to be able to see them before you know they're there. And as you can see, there's some blacktail up on the hill there. But using your binoculars and glassing the terrain everywhere is very, very important if you want to find trophies, because obviously you can't get trophies if you're not seeing them and finding them. So it's a lot harder. So make sure you are glassing the terrain. You can use your binoculars while you're running and walking, so there's definitely no point not using your binoculars. So yeah, definitely use your binoculars. That is tip number 4. And the last tip is quad bikes. Notice how at the start of the video I said that if you are going around and getting outposts, I would recommend using a quad bike, and this is the only time when I would recommend it. It's because the quad bikes spook everything from about 500 meters or so. So do not use quad bikes when you are hunting. If you're gathering outposts, it's alright, but hunting, definitely a big no. I see a lot of people drive up quite close to the lakes and hop off, especially low levels, and wonder why there is no animals at the lake whatsoever. It's because you spooked them off about a solid 2 minutes before you got to the lake. So yeah, that is a big tip right there. Do not use the quad bikes if you are actually going around trying to hunt animals and find trophies. It'll just ruin your hunt and you won't see anything at all. But that is going to be my top 5 beginner tips for 2025. If you did find this video helpful or you did enjoy it, please do leave a like and a subscribe. It really does help the channel a lot and I do appreciate it. And until next time, peace.